The Cats claw their way back to yet another amazing victory, down by 34 points, and the Cats come home with the victory, mate, by 2 points, and an incredible victory. The Cats played, you have to say, pretty awful football for the most part of the day, and as you can tell from my voice, it was quite a big day and simply had to be won. Selwood down very early, backs against the wall, injuries galore, and but the Cats found a way, mate, and you at work and got to see a little bit of it. How'd you sort of listen to it, see it? What were your thoughts on the game?
I listened to all of it, and then when it got close, I thought I'm going to have to download the AFL app on the work phone and watch it live for free, so I did that.
Perfect, good work.
I mean, just so frustrating early, you know. I honestly know we've been inconsistent throughout the year, but this was a game I just thought we were going to waltz in, with no disrespect to Fremantle. There's no fight, no standing. You know, we dominate at Simmons. Our form has been fantastic there.
Yeah.
I really thought this was going to be, as even as the comp is, as easy as a win you're going to get.
I thought so too, yeah.
We just come out with this shocking football, and obviously Freo pressured us heavily, and again, we failed to respond to that. Then you're losing blokes with injury, your rotations are down. You're just thinking, oh no, you know, we were talking at half time. It probably sounds drastic, but season over, and that wasn't to say that we wouldn't make the eight, but more so, there's no point really. I mean, if you're going to dish up this sort of performance and have these sort of shockers every so often, which are just too frequent, then you may make the eight, you may win one final, but really, you're not going to be anywhere near the real heavy players and right in the mix. So it was really on the line for us. I think at half time we were speaking about, you know, it takes real character to come back from here. We hadn't written it off because we know we can come back and pile on goals really quickly, and we are a huge momentum team.
For sure, yeah.
Again, we managed to do so. So that was extremely pleasing. You'll be able to talk better about the real exact pieces of play and really how we played structurally and systematically, but from a more broader point of view, I think if we were to lose that, it would have been so deflating. And while the concerns are still there and they won't be papered over, the cracks won't be shunned away. I mean, they'll be looked at and they're still there and they're obvious. But the positive was that we could turn around, come back, and the season and the ladder is so even that we say it often, any win on any given day, at any venue against anyone, is a very valuable 4 points. There's no such thing as we got the win, but we didn't play well, it's not that good of a win. You just got to take them because, you know, they might not be a finals candidate, we didn't play great, but I'm sure all teams in our sort of position will be hoping to scrape together those wins and hope you can catch fire later in the season.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That could be the difference between, you know, it could be the difference between a home final and, you know, maybe travelling to the West Coast or something like that. You just don't know. It's a very valuable 4 points. Concerning about how we did play early, but again, we managed to turn it around. I don't know why. It is a constant theme that we can start slow and we always finish well, but I think we'll just sit here and be relieved that we got the 4 points, mate. But you were there, chiming in with the Nan spot, which, you know, hopefully she did it justice. I hope she enjoyed it, but what do you make of it, mate?
Crazy stuff, for sure, but back to your point on that one, and Chris Scott, I think, sums it up on 360 pretty well. He says it's not who you play, but when you play them.
Yeah.
Like, we play them early in the year, they're off their chops. We're on fire against the Dockers, and you get a nice win. But we'll get into the game anyway, mate. And look, at the start, I thought, oh yeah, it's a bit slow from both sides. No one's really amazing at the moment. It's not a great tempo at the moment. I suppose there wasn't much scoring happening. Wasn't too many highlights. The win was a bit of a factor. It wasn't a spectacle for the game by any means. And I was like, okay, yeah, righto. Fair enough. So, slightly just get into the game. Fremantle really got on top in the second quarter. They were just dominating the ground ball, mate. Also the clearances, and I thought we're going to find out a lot about Geelong today. Once Selwood went off, which was in the first minute, I thought he got knocked to the deck. I actually thought it was Menegola when I was at the game, and then had a bit of look on the replay, and it was actually Selwood. I'm like, oh, wow, we. I thought, well, if we're ever going to find out about Geelong, it's going to be today without one of our superstars. And the media love to say no, Danger or Danger and Joel don't play well, Geelong don't play well. Well, had one of them out for basically the whole game. Freo did have 5 out, bearing in mind, which would have, if he plays and they play the way they did today, they probably win. But look, they didn't. We had Joel out, so probably a slight leveler there. And they just dominated around the clearances, and we just couldn't get our hands on the ball, couldn't get our movement and our game happening. And really, for most of the day, we had a lot of stop, kick, mark play, and at the end of the day, it was really a lot of amazing big marks down the line that in critical moments had really sort of helped us along the way. There wasn't many passages of play where moving from half back to the forward line. I think that was where our 2 goals early on to Menzel came from. Actually, was half back movement. But other than that, mate, there wasn't too much pretty ball movement sort of throughout the day, as you'd expect. Freo's pressure was really good. They hunted us, and a lot of teams seem to hunt us, and a little bit of a tongue twister there. And we got our tackle in there, which was pretty nice. 18 extra tackles. And that's actually 22 extra tackles there, mate, and 17 extra contested possessions, more inside 50s, more clearances, and a lot of that would have been in the second half when the whips were really cracking. And the second tier stood up pretty well. The back line I thought was really solid, all considering what was happening. The Smalls absolutely killed us, though, I must say. You would have heard on the radio, mate. It was just a show between Brad Hill, Ballantyne, Walters. They just had a day out, and every time the ball hit the ground inside their 50, it looked so dangerous and very scary. But to our credit, we fought back. Menegola snapped one late in the third, which made it really interesting. And we just kept coming, and in the last quarter, it was all us. Like I felt the momentum was shifting our way, and finally, stuff was beginning to happen. Cats were getting the ball, and Freo could barely get their hands on the ball, let alone move it forward, and just too much for them. In I would have loved to get a late goal right towards the end, because that play where where Danger kicked it on the full, they moved it forward. It was so scary. It was one of the craziest bits of play ever, and I'll go a bit of a history lesson here, mate, but the Dockers did go all right down here lately against us, and we had the 2015 game where they defeated us. 2014, they missed after the siren with David Mundy, so we've got a couple of close finishes with them of late and missing close to sirens. So thankfully we're on the right side of that. If we had one extra goal, it would have made a hell of a difference right at the end. But did we pinch it, mate? I mean, did we deserve the win?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I think we did. You could probably make a case that both sides deserved to win, and they maybe probably had the best of us early, and could have they put more on the scoreboard, maybe. But you got to also give credit to, we played well late, they played well early. I don't think it's any more important when you play a good footy. We probably made it count when it was really in our hands. So
yep.
Yeah, look, I suppose because they led early, people often say you steal it, but I think it's just one of those things where you overrun them, and you could argue if they kick that one at the end, all of a sudden they steal it. It's one of those ones where maybe someone's going to steal it, but how deflating it would have been. Funny story without dragging this on too long, I'm watching it live on the AFL app, and it starts to lag with 30 seconds to go.
Oh, no.
So, what is it, Dwayne Russell's commentating, and his voice becomes 5 seconds ahead of the video.
Oh, no.
So I rushed to put it on mute, because I don't want to get ruined. So I'm watching the last 25 seconds on mute because I don't want a spoiler alert from Dwayne.
Jeepers.
It was bloody nervous moments because I'm watching it on mute thinking, surely not. And then, yeah.
That's chaotic, mate.
Crazy finish, mate, crazy finish. But, you were saying?
Take the win, mate. I'm just looking at the stats here randomly. 12 marks inside 50, and they only had 4 marks inside 50. So there you go. There's the win. What was I actually saying?
No, I think he just passed it over to me whether it was pitched or not. But
well.
You had any more finer detailed sort of stuff for it?
Yeah, I'll see if we can eke out a few more positives. But I guess the second tier stepping up, mate. Blitzars was really good. I'll give him a special shout out. He actually doesn't get a vote. That's a bit of a spoiler there, but look, pretty pleased overall with pleased from being 34 points down, and maybe a slight bit of me was thinking, we're not really much of a chance here, but in the back of my mind, I always thought we were a chance as long as we weren't out by more than 40 points. I thought, keep going, chip away, and when we get a run on, we're very hard to stop, and it was good that we changed the momentum when it was heavily against us. We weren't playing the way we wanted to play, and got the win, mate. Not pretty at all, but come season's end, those 2 points subsequently become 4 points, and it's a massive win, a massive result come season's end.
Yeah, and I think over time, clubs and teams create character traits for themselves, and obviously we have one at the moment where we're a little inconsistent and we don't quite know what we're going to get, and we, when pressured, often wilt. So that's disappointing. But another character trait is that we, as you say, we're never out of the game. We can score quick, and we have unbelievable character and fight within the group. So that's been a trait of the club for a long time, and this playing group continues to happen. So that's really promising.
Yep.
If anything, there are a few negatives, of course, but that is something disheartening as a supporter.
For sure, mate. Yeah, I'd have to say we're one of the really great sides of being able to perform, I guess, in those really tight ones. There'll always be anomalies and ones where they don't go your way, but if you want to compare us to Richmond, do you take us? I'd say probably. We'll move into the votes, mate, and see who you've got here. The 3, 2, and 1, and finally move along to the votes. What have you got for us?
Well, I have given the 3 to Dangerfield. Now, it was tough between he and Duncan. I think Duncan was amazing early from what I was hearing on the radio and really did step up, as we needed him to do. But I just edged out Mitch at Danger just because of how heroic he was late. I just loved the fact that he won the contest and won it in the air and just willed himself. He must have been absolutely buggered, which is probably why he turned it over a couple of times too. But I just, Duncan and Dangerfield, you probably split them with hairs. They were equally fantastic, but I just edged out Danger, perhaps slightly for how well he was at the end, and slightly because I have a bit of a man crush as well. But my one vote was Zach Tui. I felt that he was extremely good rebounding and seemed to mop up a lot. He may have turned it over a little early, I'm not too sure, but just from on the radio, it sounded like maybe all his touches weren't clean. A bit hard to get a gauge of it on the radio, but I really enjoyed his couple of goals and just set the tone, and really when they needed to be kicked, he stepped up to the plate. So they were my 3 votes there, mate, my 3 players. How about yourself?
Yeah, look, mate, I've got 4 players here. I'm struggling. And now I'm just trying to figure out the order. After you said Tui, I thought, he was good. And then it was like Duncan and Dangerfield. I'm going to start with 1 and then just work my way up. But I'll go the 1 to Tom Lonergan, actually. I thought he was really solid down back. He was quite splendid, actually. He used the ball pretty well for most of the afternoon. He got 18 touches, 6 marks, 3 tackles, and took a lot of telling marks. And I'll tell you what, we talk about Alex Rance for Richmond. No, Tom Lonergan's not an Alex Rance, but his defensive prowess today I thought was a real highlight, and he was a valuable member of the side, and his impact there was really good. So I gave him the 1 vote there, and I'll give the 2 votes to Tui, 28 touches, got a few tackles there, and a couple of big-time goals, 8 marks as well, by the way. So his movement off half-back was really positive, 2 clutch goals, which were massive and had to kick them. It was really good to watch. And the 3 to Dangerfield, I swear I had him as 2 votes to 1 vote, but then everything all changed around. So 31 touches, 3 marks, 5 free kicks, 9 tackles, and kicked the 3 points. Nice windy day for him. But look, again, we judge him on Dangerfield standards, as you say, each week. And sometimes when he gets a poor, what you'd say a poor 30 possession game, he stood up. Those late moments came. He thrived in those moments, got the ball moving forward, did what he had to do to get us across the line, and he senses those moments and knows those moments and knows what to do best. So it was fantastic, and yeah, huge shout out as well to Mitch Duncan, fantastic as well. Blitzhouse was very good as well, almost with Selwood out. He had a bit of a run around in the midfield, and a little bit more, I guess, potential for him to just run around a bit free like Selwood normally would, I suppose. So that was really good to see, and yeah, Mackie racked it up a fair bit. George Wallen-Smith went okay, and yeah, reasonable performance from the boys.
Yeah, most definitely, mate. You couldn't give a vote to Duncan.
Oh, mate, I've given him votes every week, and I feel like I was hell bent on giving Lonergan a vote or even 2 votes because I thought he was at the game, sort of seeing it from that point of view. But yeah, no, he's incredibly stiff and certainly has a right to be pretty disappointed at me right now. So, but look, I suppose Lonergan's put a bit of body of work together as you have in the past done with Henderson and things like that. So yeah, look. Shout out to Tom. He's been good lately, and Duncan's been getting too many votes. So we'll give Tom a bit of a crack, mate, and we'll go into the player review segment, chopping block. Go for it. What have you got for us?
Yeah, well, you'll probably have a bit more of an idea on who is poor. It's tough to get a gauge of who's struggling when you don't see it, but obviously a lot of changeover in selection will be with injury. Joel. Yep. You'd have to think they give him a week off just with his history. They'll assess it. You can have varying depths of concussion and how bad it is, but he would have to be unlikely, you would think.
Yeah, he has to get a week off.
Yeah. Was that a knock to the eye socket or something?
I'm not too sure, mate.
Yeah, and then Lang obviously did something as well because he didn't partake any further in the game. There's a few that'll certainly go out, and I might handball to you in a sec in regards to who's maybe struggling, but Reece Stanley is frustrating me a little bit. You probably would go dropping him, but I just wish I know he did a couple of good things, but he probably worked real hard. His legs were just cement by the time he had that chop, and I really just wish he had nailed that and really stood up as a big man should. But look, I was watching the VFL today, obviously I had work and missed the game, but happened to be watching Geelong's VFL team take on North Ballarat. So I got a good look at that. Probably no one stood out for AFL selection, really, but Wiley Buzzer, extremely impressive. He's going to be a guy that is definitely going to be a player for the future, I think. Really nice kick and just brilliant hands. So
awesome.
A lot of talk about him in the media, and I was pleased to get a bit of an up-close personal look at him because he has been pumped up in the media, so good to get a look at him. And otherwise, I don't think anyone really stood out. They named Ryan Abbott as the best, but I didn't think he was amazing. And Hable, I thought, was fairly impressive. He's going to be a reasonable player, one would hope. But who sort of struggled today, do you think, mate? Obviously, listening to the radio, you're only hearing who has it. It can be tough to realise who's struggling. So you would have got a much better view of that than myself. What do you think on that front?
It wasn't a stack of players sort of saying I'm not playing very well, but I'm looking at the stats here now, and it sort of represents sort of what I saw at the game, I guess. Stanley's probably the main one that sticks out to me. Once you said him, I thought, spot on there. I agree with that one. Had to just take that moment and kick the goal, but yeah, look, he would have been selected based off he kicked 3 goals, which were pretty simple against the Eagles, the easy ones out the back, and when the game was done. But Murdoch got 11 tackles. Not giving a whack there, but fantastic on getting 11 tackles. I was there leading. for the game. And Harry Taylor up forward, he got moved down back, and I think that's only because Stewart went down. That's a possibility. He didn't provide much up forward. Ended up with 18 touches, which I don't remember happening. But Guthrie was slightly off early. Eventually, I think he got into the game. Scott Selwood wasn't at his best. I didn't see a stack of him getting much of the ball. He got 19 touches going by the stat sheet, but yeah, I'm not going to drop him. But yeah, look, those are the main ones, mate. Just looking at here, Parsons was somewhat quiet, got involved later in the piece, but you know, he kicked 2 goals as a half forward flanker. You're sort of doing your role as long as you're applying some pressure as well. By the looks here, 4 tackles as well. So yeah, look, all of us seem to get a bit of the footy, and no one was really poor. So that's quite interesting, mate. Normally when we play really poorly, everyone does. But looking at the at least the numbers, we played a reasonable game all up. It's very strange.
No one sort of standing out. Maybe just a few guys who were subpar performances without being really poor. Interesting.
Cool, mate. What have we got next week?
Oh, we got the Giants, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
Giants on a Saturday.
Pretty scary.
Very difficult.
Saturday night, mate.
Is it night, is it? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I had a look. I was just looking through who we've got for the rest of the season today. And yeah, so we've got the Giants next week. It's Saturday night, Spotless Stadium. So there'll be massive clash, and possibly going without Joel Sell, which would be it's pretty big for us. I mean, we're a good side that needs probably their best lineup to be competitive against the best, and you'd probably agree that would be the case for most teams. Mate, we I guess sort of rely on our superstars more than I guess other sides do, but yeah, I think we didn't quite get the job done start of last year. I think it was a pretty poor game there, but we ended up bringing it reasonably close. Tommy Hawkins kicked an amazing goal there. And I think the time before that, Hawkins gave Cora a bit of a bath, and when it was away for us. And well, yeah, it's going to be a very tough game, and I don't go over expecting to win, to be honest. I think we're a good chance to be quite competitive and at least put in a great contest and maybe go down by 4 or 5 goals. But yeah, the Giants are really good in their home turf. It's quite, most teams, if they're a contending side, they're incredibly hard to beat in general, let alone at their home deck. We haven't travelled too well this year, and hallmark of a good side, as I always say, is how well you can play teams and beat teams on the road. I think we'll have our work cut out for us here, mate. I don't think many teams will be saying, we can beat the Giants on their home deck. So, yeah, they've been in reasonable form. They haven't been in amazing form either. They've been sort of knocking over the wins and ticking the boxes there and going through their strides there. But how do you see it, mate? What are you expecting us to deliver next week against the Giants?
Yeah, pretty similar to you. I mean, they're obviously a quality team and premiership favourite. I mean, probably of all the clubs that could consider themselves a fancy, they've had the least amount of fluctuations in form. Pretty much every team has. So
they
certainly probably had the least amount of games where they're off.
Mm-hmm.
But I think certainly through the clearance situation, they're very damaging, and their ball movement is superb from the back half, from stoppage. It's not just a comment off, yes, they're talented, but their system and structure is very good. So they've worked it out really well and can certainly move the ball as good as anyone in the competition. So that will be tough to stop. But yeah, you certainly don't head over expecting to win, but you just want to see us not look out of place, I guess.
Yeah,
you don't want to get blown away or made to look really deficient in certain areas. So you obviously want to start well, and you just never know in this competition. You just never quite know. You want to perhaps give yourself a chance at half time and see how it goes from there. There's too many games we head into these days or in recent times where you go, oh, look, if we don't win, I'm not going to be shattered. It's probably more about how we go down. I mean, I'm not saying we can't win, but the likelihood is this is one of the toughest trips and opponents in the game. So we've got to reassess the values a little bit. But no, I just want to see us compete well and match it with them in key areas, because they'll be a finalist, and it'll be interesting to see how we shape up against probably a top 2 fancy. They look almost certain at this stage, the way that it's shaping up and how the rest of the comp's going. So, yeah, it should be interesting, mate.
Very good, mate. Thanks for joining in today.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, mate. To have you back and on the phone, but nonetheless, it's been good.
Fantastic. Alrighty. Thanks for listening, guys. So that's a review from Shorty and myself. The Cats getting home by 2 points with a 34-point comeback and amazing finish again with just so many crazy results. This round's probably had 4 of them, so yeah, it's unreal. But game's in a good state. Feel free to give the video a like, subscribe for more of these, check out the other content, go from there, have a ball. Thanks for hanging around. I'll catch you guys on the next video.